I want to own a kingdom.
I want to create an oasis free from the perils of adult greed.
I live for the annihilation of all heretics.
I want to be a somebody, respected and feared. But maybe there's something wrong with all men. Dreams, win or lose. I'm sure you could spend your whole life chasing one. Welcome to Bible study, where we are talking about the gospel, that is Berserk. What does it mean to dream? This is a big one, a theme that is the heart of debatably my favorite manga series of all time, and our very lives. In a long life that is finite, dreams are what keeps us going. It provides us the purpose, the conviction, the resolve to be able to go into the unknown, and smile knowing that at least I died chasing something. Like a lion in the Sahara stalking his next meal, we do the same exact thing, but with our dreams. Dreams, aspirations, and ambitions give meaning to life, soothing the mental turmoil of having to live, because death is too absolute and frightening. Yes, the journey towards attaining a dream can be painful, but dreams are what numb the pain of life, of the long, monotonous, drawn-out human experience, where we are all playing poker with a shit hand. And in Berserk, represented with a band of dreamers, all with a burning desire to conquer and prosper, all with dreams way too grandiose for the lives they've been cursed with. We have ex-convicts, deserters, bandits, scammers, rejects, thieves, and despite the sins they have committed, despite the amount of victims wrong on their path to their ambitions, they still have that childlike glow in their eyes, as they think on their dreams, as they dote on their dreams, as they crawl towards their dreams. Which leads me to one of the most overlooked concepts in Berserk that grants it its mysteriously enchanting, enigmatic charm. The fact that God, the real gods, are truly sinister beings. Just like Greek mythology where the sick, twisted, demented seem to weasel their ways into power, the same flaws in power can be seen in the God hand. Individuals who most definitely committed the most selfish and egregious acts, to be put into place to execute the orders of causality. Griffith sold out his whole guild after a dungeon raid and was crowned as Femto, the pointer finger of the God hand, symbolizing his Eren Yeager-like resolve to always continue moving forward, mercilessly destroying any encumbrance. Imagine the sheer scale of the Berserk universe, the Berserk lore, the astral world and the use of sprites, spirits, and magic, and the amount of manipulation and meddling done to have everything get to this exact, very point. When did Void become a God hand, and what was the sacrifice? How about Slan, Ubik, and Conrad, and what were their stories? What did these conniving niggas do to be here? What dreams did they so desperately chase that the cries caught the attention of the original God hand? As you may know, my favorite anime of all time is Fullmetal Alchemist. It tackles topics like philosophy and the flaws inherent in humanity, in a way I've never seen any other narrative do. Just a set of brilliant brothers, who just want their beloved mother back, but are hit with the truth so heavy that a Mike Tyson uppercut would be laughable. A freight train of a sucker punch of reality. I tend to speculate on the origins of the God hand and whether it is imperative that you come from humble beginnings to be a candidate. Void gives me the vibe that he was very similar to von Hohenheim. Probably a person who was too smart and gifted for the circumstances he lived in. Probably a slave boy who had the intelligence of a noble, stripped of everything but his will to dream. And this would become a burning desire so loud that it could not possibly be ignored. Like a crack-headed neighbor who won't shut the fuck up, Void's cry
Shut the hell up!
was deafening.
Shut up! Shut up!
But let's fast forward to the Campfire of Dreams, an astoundingly fire-ass chapter. No pun intended. A symbolic chapter that was straight poetry. The chapter starts off with Guts being that cold-hearted Casanova, straight chillin' in the cut. That nigga was in that bitch straight mobbing out, but he's so intimidating that you swore he was deep with a gang of villainous villains. But he carries this intense aura, all by his lonesome. Casca follows, her imposing figure dwarfing the importance of each and every campfire behind her. Quite symbolic. She treats Guts with the fairy dust from our fallen brother Judo, who deserves much better. Judo's dream was to be the master of something. I dive deeper into this here, where I test the motives and reasons for his actions and ultimately, if he's a simp or not. No spoilers though, just watch the video to see my verdict because he got hoed. Roddy said, I'd rather be judged by 12, but Judo was sadly carried by 6. Guts, though being the protagonist, has very ambiguous dreams. He has ambition, yes, but it's never explicitly towards a flowery goal like a kingdom or status, which helped the story building immensely. He was the cliche lost shonen boy living in a seinen world, We got to experience many of the atrocities in the series through the very misguided Guts. During Guts' time with the band, he seemed to be just along for the ride, not committing to this life as a warring vagabond. It wasn't until Guts cut ties with Griffith that we realized two things: how truly lost Guts was, and how vital of a piece the Black Swordsman was in the White Hawk's game of chess. With the leave of Guts, the structure of the band collapsed, leading to the events that turned the once inseparable war-battered comrades into mortal enemies. Griffith fucked this girl and killed all his friends. Guts kinda just left to find himself, stating in chapter 34 that, "I'm not interested in stuff like class or rank. What I want is something else. Something I can win. For myself." That's wild. This is an oversimplification, but actions and ramifications speak for themselves, and it isn't until the very end that we can say that Guts dreams to be with Casca. Not Elaine, not the hurt and traumatized shell of Casca, but the strong woman that was his medicine in his most dire time of need. Corcus's dream was to be a somebody. This is hinted at in chapter 34 when he gets mad at Guts for taking his status for granted. Corcus first laughs at the thought of having a dream, stating it's for weaklings who can't face the truth, but after being grilled by Guts, realized that he too must be a weakling. For he is well aware that because of Guts' success in leading the band, he is living his dream. He is a somebody, a once lowly leader of a band of peasant thieves, to a noble of the White Phoenix Knights. This is exemplified during the feast, when Griffith, in his vulnerable state, decides to pack his band up. Corcus believes his dream has turned into a nightmare because it gave him a taste of what will complete him. For he is finally a somebody, but he is doomed to have this title stripped, going back to a reality where he was a nobody. Corcus's death wasn't special. He died like everyone else, and this shook him to his core. Yes, he became a somebody, but was that due to his own ambition? Or was it because he simply tied himself to another man's dream? A dream so grandiose that it dwarfed and consumed the entire band. Griffith's dream was to own the kingdom, and he honestly stopped at nothing to get it done. But he staged a coup, sold his buns to the booty warrior, piped the king's daughter, and got piped by the king. And because the king blew his back out so hard, he had to use a Bahillit not only to realize his dream, but to heal, because the motherfucker was cooked. Nigga needed immediate medical attention. Sensu being and all, Griffith was a boy obsessed with perfection, and in many ways he was granted a perfect avatar to go through life. But he could fight, he could talk with charisma, and was blessed with good looks and charm. Nigga was a god, bro. I can't even hold you. Like, wait, this nigga actually is. Yeah, fuck this nigga. The Skull Knight was but a mere mortal, a greedy king named Gazric. His dream was to conquer the world. Then he possibly wanted to trade the world for the mysterious girl we see in chapter 362. It's really a shame that we never figured out what happened in the life of the Skull Knight. I'm sure shit was even wilder then, and the stakes were much higher. For what else could create a burning vendetta for vengeance that has stuck for over a millennia? This wise, foolish king later runs to Guts and tries to console him through his darkest time of need. It is the Skull Knight's wisdom that kept Guts from being entirely consumed by revenge, hate, and vengeance. The Skull Knight was just an inmate with a life sentence, and he saw the young, hot-headed Guts and warned him of how dark and cold life can be if you decide to walk the same path as him. Now we got Casca, who was given a second chance at life because Griffith saved her from that creep-ass dude that was trying to become the original EDP. Shit, dude was thirsty as hell. Give this motherfucker a saline drip, cause he is dehydrated. Casca was born to a family of mountain-dwelling ruffians, where famine and starvation were truths of daily life. Due to the arid climate, constant damage due to skirmishes in the barren wasteland, large harvests were close to impossible. Casca seemed to care for her family and siblings, almost ready to give herself away if it meant a better life for her family. Though she was not happy about the decision, she knew it made sense because she was the youngest daughter. This is deceit, luring the girl with the idea of a humbling life as a housemaid, promising riches for her and her kin in return. When this decrepit soul's true intention was to deflower this poor girl, then the awe-inspiring, otherworldly spectacle intervenes, saving the girl's life and offering her a new passion. It's ironic that in her weak and vulnerable state, a profession dealing in the dark works of death is what was presented to the girl, presented to her by, in her eyes, an angel, but in reality, we later find out that he is truly a sinister being, bringing about the decimation of his ambitions through the sacrifice of the Band of the Hawk, in exchange for an immortal vessel, free from the restraints of mortal law. You have to become a god to be given the freedom to live outside the rules of society, or you can be chosen by God to be of nobility, those who truly live above the law, and thus overindulge in the pleasures of life. A nobleman's wonderland, incentivizing and encouraging a life lived hedonistically, for who would smack the hands of the ones anointed by God? Divine writers evolve and discuss a system that relieves all checks and balances from the powerful elite. In the eyes of the white-haired, silver-tongued beast, this was injustice, and it shall, without a shadow of a doubt, be smited. For this is the same inequality and injustice that has hindered his ambition toward his dream. Does being born of nobility mean that you're chosen by God? Which begs the question, are those of regular birth God's rejects? Those placed right here on earth to be claimed and deemed as a noble man's plaything, meant to be manipulated and strung along under a meek existence of violent taxation until the anticlimactic release that is death. Damn. Okay, that's dark, but these are facts. But Gasca gets lucky because she is given an angel placed right here on earth just for her. This angel is Griffith, who empowers her to choose her own fate, emboldened by a sword and expunged of her guilt, comforted by the blanket. Though a very pure act, the Savior was not an angel of God by any stretch of the definition, but of the openly nefarious entities that we know as the God Hand, clergymen of the waves of causality, generated from the deepest, darkest depths of the astral world, manipulating the events that push Griffith towards his dreams and ambitions, with Casca strung along as his tool, his trusty sword. It isn't until later that Casca's dream is realized and evolves, from being Griffith's sword to God's medicine. The dream motif in Berserk is the most beautiful thing that I've seen support the plot of a narrative. It makes this gruesome and violent world of fiction feel that much more realistic. Everyone really feels like warm-blooded humans, etched into these cold, soulless pages, living among those, also chasing something that embarrasses them when uttered aloud. I want to own a kingdom.
I want to create an oasis free from the perils of adult greed.
I live for the annihilation of all heretics.
I want to be a somebody, respected and feared. I want to be the greatest swordsman who ever lived. I just want the girl I love back, and then we're responsible for this, dead.
I want to be the master of something. I want the respect of my father, but I want to grow into a woman that deserves this respect. I want things to go back to how they used to be. Before that day, before my relationship with my love was damaged forever. I want to catch them all.
Like, this shit is hard, bro. Like, for real. After every bang I dropped on this series, going into each and every cold detail about this series, you should see why. From the heartbreaking tale of Rosine, to Ishidro being a protagonist, to the troll arc and how crazy that was, to the heartbreaking tale of the Count, to the evolution of Farnese, to the ill-moraled, heretic Trish, Nina. It has been a journey. Why is the dream motif so important? Dreams are plot. Dreams are what drives the ambitions and motives of each and every character. But maybe there's something wrong with all men. Dreams, win or lose. I'm sure you can spend your whole life chasing one. Berserk is a journey that I'll never forget. It has brought me into worlds that I never could imagine even existed. And we should hold ourselves lucky that we lived in an era where we can experience content like this. A story, a narrative, as great as this. As for what's next, I'm cooking up something serious. Gonna be talking about one of my favorite movies of all time, and another slept-on Studio Ghibli film that deserves much more attention. And also, do you remember Zatcha Bell? Stay tuned, my nigga. We about to be talking about that too. But anyway, I appreciate y'all niggas for watching. Kiss your left cheek, slap on the right. I'll see y'all when I see y'all, man.